All right, we are back on the long road to ruin. I'm your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich. And tonight we are discussing the Kingsman movies, the Kingsman, the Secret Service, Kingsman, the Secret Service, and Kingsman, the Golden Shower. Joining me tonight,
Wait,
I
hold up.
can't be the only one that's ever made that joke.
Probably not, but still disturbing.
And here's a man who likes golden circles. I zigged when you when I thought I was going to say. Ladies and gentlemen, the misfit and the miscreant, Ronnie Adams. How do you do, sir?
Howdy. How you doing?
I'm good. So, Kingsman, The Kingsman, which is a prequel to Kingsman, is actually out this Wednesday coming up.
Yep.
And I thought it would be fun to... I've actually never seen any of these movies prior to prepping for this podcast. Yeah, I'd never watched them. I hadn't... I've read the comic now, and I've watched both movies. But up until prepping for all of this, I hadn't done any of those things.
So you have one up on me.
Okay.
I have not read the book yet.
Okay. Well, Jesse and I actually have a review of that coming out this weekend.
Yeah.
So you can check that out. But did you see these contemporaneously when they came out?
Oh, absolutely. I saw it. What's the word I'm looking for? I saw it advertised. Previewed, whatever you want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, that looks really interesting. And I did my research and found out it was a comic book. And I was like, well, I'm in. After that, let's see what we got, because I like the obscure properties.
Mm-hmm.
When
did you know they were books before they
were
comic books rather before they were movies?
I had no clue, which is really funny because I'm a Mark Millar, whatever you want to say his name. I'm a fan of him because he did those. He did these books, yeah. And so I went to see the movie, and I was like, man, that was irreverent and hilarious. So.
So I read the book with Jesse, and it was interesting. This first one that we're going to talk about, the Secret Service, is almost to the letter pretty much a word-for-word adaptation of that book. And I said to him at the time, like, I can see why they went out of their way to get this thing adapted to the big screen. It reads like a script to a movie.
Oh, it does, yeah.
So let's get into it. The Secret Service.
Not that I've heard. I haven't seen it. Read it.
Secret Service came out in 2014. It was directed by Matthew Vaughn, and it stars Colin Firth, Samuel L. Jackson, Mark Strong, Taron Egerton, and Michael Caine. During a mission in the Middle East in 1997, probationary secret agent Lee Unwin sacrifices himself to protect his superior, Harry Hart, from an explosion. Hart, blaming himself for Lee's death, returns to London to give Lee's widow, Michelle, and a young son, Gary Eggsy, a medal engraved with an emergency assistance number. 17 years later, Eggsy is a stereotypical chav? I don't know what that means. Having dropped out of training for the Royal Marines, despite his intelligence and talents for both gymnastics and parkour, because, of course, everybody's, doing parkour. After getting arrested for stealing a car, Eggsy calls the number. Hart arranges his release and explains that he's a member of Kingsman, a private intelligence service founded by British elite who lost their heirs in World War I and put their money towards protecting the world. The organization is named for the tailor shop that closed them in Savile Row, which they now use as a front for their bases. Hart, codenamed Galahad, explains the position is available as Agent Lancelot was killed by the assassin Gazelle while trying to rescue university professor James Arnold from kidnappers. Eggsy becomes Hart's candidate. Kingsman technical support operative Merlin discovers that Professor Arnold is working as though nothing has happened. Hart attempts to interrogate him at Imperial College London, but microchip in Professor Arnold's neck explodes, killing him like you do. The detention signal, the detonation signal is traced to a facility owned by Gazelle's employer, Richmond Valentine, an internet billionaire and philanthropist who has offered anyone in the world SIM cards that grant free cellular and internet connectivity. But nothing ever is really free, Ronnie Adams.
No, it's not.
Hart, posing as a billionaire philanthropist, meets Valentine face-to-face. Other candidates are eliminated through dangerous training tests by Merlin, until only Eggsy and Roxy, a candidate Eggsy befriended, are left. Eggsy refuses to complete the final test, shooting a pug puppy he raised during the training process.
I don't think that's... Yeah, okay, we'll get into that.
And Roxy is named the new Lancelot. Hart learns of Valentine's connection to an obscure hate group's church in Kentucky, because of course it is, and travels there wearing glasses containing a video transceiver. Eggsy watches Valentine activates the SIM cards in the church, triggering a signal that causes the parishioners and Hart to become murderously violent. Hart's spy training leaves him as the only survivor. Outside the church, Valentine explains what happened before shooting Hart in the face, apparently killing him. Apparently. Eggsy returns to Kingsman headquarters and notices that Chester Arthur King, Kingsman leader, has a scar on his neck, just like Professor Arnold's. King reveals that Valentine plans to transmit his neurological wave worldwide via satellite network, believing the resulting culling of most of the human race will avert its extinction via global warming. Only those Valentine has chosen will be unaffected. King tries to kill Eggsy with a poisoned drink, but Eggsy switches classes with King beforehand, who poisons him. Eggsy, Merlin, and Roxy set out to stop Valentine. Roxy uses high-altitude balloons to destroy one of Valentine's satellites and break up the network, but Valentine secures a replacement. Merle flies Eggsy to Valentine's base, where he masquerades as King. Eggsy is discovered by a failed Kingsman recruit, Charlie Hesketh, leading to both Eggsy and Merlin being cornered. On Eggsy's suggestion, Merlin activates the implanted chip's failsafe, killing almost everyone with a chip. Valentine activates the signal, triggering worldwide pandemonium. Eggsy kills Gazelle and uses one of her sharpened prosthetic legs to impale Valentine and kill him, stopping the signal and ending the threat. Yeah. Afterward, he shares a sexual encounter with Tilde, Crown Princess of Sweden, like he is from Sweden. I like meatballs, whom Valentine abducted. In a mid-credit scene, Eggsy, now the new Galahad, offers his mother and half-sister a new home away from his abusive stepfather, who is knocked unconscious in the same way that Halle earlier knocked out a gangster. Alrighty, so what'd you think of this movie, Ronnie?
I thought it was a lot of fun. Never thought of Colin Firth, right? Yeah. Never thought of him as an action hero, but man, he pulled it off in this. It was like I said, just a lot of fun. I'm a big spy. Like I don't say it a lot, but I like spy movies.
Mm-hmm.
But I like cheeky stuff, you know. And this was just enough James Bond and just enough. I don't know who else, you know, to compare this to, other than maybe
it's not. I mean, there's the Bourne series, but that's very serious stuff. And then you've got the Jack Ryan stuff, and that's also serious. This is stylized, punchy fun. This is, you know,
this just enough superhero mixed in with just enough James Bond to make it good. You know.
I was thinking about you while I was watching. I was like, this is the kind of movie Ronnie Adams likes. I bet he's gonna have a lot of fun talking about this, because this movie, and this is not an insult, but this movie requires no thought. Like, this is not. There is nothing here to interpret. There's nothing about the greater world. There are no themes. This is just. I
do like that stuff.
Watching Taron Egerton kick his way through people. And there's a lot of really fun humor. Like, actually, this stuff. What does she say at the end of Princess of Sweden? She's like, you know, if you save the world, I'll let you do it in the butt, or something. Yeah, like that.
He says, "If I let you out, can I have a kiss?" And she said, "I'll give you more than a kiss." And she goes, "If you save the world, I'll let you, do that." And he goes, "Be right back." And I was like, "Oh, well, okay." We didn't go quite far enough, but there we go.
My kind of hero. So it's so funny, because I was actually thinking about bringing my kids to go see The Kingsman, because it was rated R, and now I see why these things are rated R.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous fun. But I mean, like, okay, so I like that stuff. I like, you know, thought-provoking movies. I
didn't mean to imply that you didn't.
Oh, I know. But when I go to a movie, I want to be entertained.
Right.
You know, I want to be. Just give me something stupid to watch for a little bit, and I'll be fine.
And that's the thing. Matthew Vaughn does a great job with the direction in this, in terms of creating something very stylized.
Absolutely.
This thing was made for the screen. There is no other way to watch this thing.
Yeah.
These movies were meant to be enjoyed on the big screen. They are huge spectacles. I do find with a lot of these movies that watching a guy punch his way through the bad guys for 2 hours gets a little boring. What Matthew Vaughn does with the Kingsman Secret Service is, and more so with the next one we're going to talk about, the Golden Circle, is he actually makes the action look interesting and fun. I mean, if you're like a real martial art, I'm saying this for one person's benefit specifically, but if you're like, a fight choreography snob, if you're somebody who studies the martial arts, you're going to hate these movies if that kind of thing gets to you. But if you can sort of let go of that, or you're not aware of it and you're just watching a guy, we use the term chew up scenery. He's not chewing up the scenery. He's more like kicking it.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a visual treat.
Absolutely. I read a little bit because I was interested in how they filmed these fight scenes because they just look different. You know what I mean? And they actually keep the camera centered right on the action. They keep the action centered, like center screen.
Yeah.
And everything around it going. So it's almost like they're wearing like a camera on their neck, like pointing at them while they're doing it, especially like that church scene. Holy crap.
That church scene is probably the best part of the movie. That is this unadulterated fun violence. And so I went through the plot synopsis, but what gets lost in that written plot synopsis is that the whole point of what Samuel Jackson's villain character is trying to do is he's trying to Thanos half of the Earth's population.
Absolutely.
And he doesn't have an infinity gauntlet. He has to do it the old-fashioned way by encouraging people to just kill one another.
Right. They're just wailing on each other.
And so he's using like high intensity frequencies, wavelengths to manipulate the brains of people so that they'll become all impulsive and angry and violent.
It goes on the basis that there's a frequency that'll drive a person insane.
Yeah, that's right out of the comic book. This whole plot's right out of the comic book. We're basically like, if we can have half of the human race kill each other, then then we all won't die from global warming. Like he's he's motivated to save the planet from a mass extinction event, be it global warming or climate change. And so it's like, okay, there's too many people. So, much like Thanos, it will have it be semi-random.
Right.
Just have half the people in the world take each other out.
Well, he got all the rich people.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's semi-random. Like he in the comic book, he actually saved some celebrities like Mark Hamill at the very beginning.
Which is funny because I read that in the trivia that he was the first celebrity that they kidnapped.
Right.
And then they ended up getting him in the movie. But so basically he's Harry Hart, we'll call him Galahad. Galahad, which is his name, his call name. Galahad goes under disguise to Valentine's. He was going to have a gala, and he ended up canceling the gala because Galahad's supposed to be this rich entrepreneur, like filthy, stinking rich.
Yeah.
And he said, well, when you donate, I canceled the gala. He said, when you donate as much money as you did, you deserve your own dinner. Brings him in, sits him down, and serves him McDonald's, which I thought was brilliant because this guy, the character's not pretending to be anything he's not.
Right.
He's a guy that knew how to make some money. He's a smart guy, made some money, and he's just keeping it real. But he's also a megalomaniacal mania, murderer.
He's cut from the same cloth as a lot of people who are, quote unquote villains in these things, which they're smart enough to see the writing on the wall and sociopathic enough to do what needs to be done. I keep making the Thanos comparison. The great thing about the way they wrote Thanos in the Avengers movies, not to go off on a tangent about that, is that yes, Thanos was a sociopath, but from his point of view, what he was doing was logical based on the trauma that he suffered, having watched his entire race get wiped out due to lack of resources. And so he's like, okay, well, let's just. And now somebody has made the point that there's a bit of a problem with that, where if you have a magic glove that can grant wishes, why not just wish for more resources? But whatever. Right. I'm not debating.
You're also not a mad titan. I'm
not debating the 30-year-old Infinity Gauntlet comic.
Right.
But my point being, but there are a lot of villains like that where they're driven by their need to correct what they think is an institutional or a biological or societal wrong.
Well, he put it the best way he could. He said, mankind is a virus.
Right. Earth
is the host. You let this virus go so long, measures have to be taken. So you either end up with the host.
Even with the lisp, I was totally getting Nick Fury vibes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And Boot when he was doing that bit.
Yeah. And he goes, either the host kills the virus or the virus kills the host, as he put it. Which he did the lisp because he actually used to have a lisp. And he overcame that with a lot of cursing, is what he said. That's why he curses so much in these movies, because that helped him get over his speech impediment. And he thought that this character should have a speech impediment because that's where the anger first started. And I was like, man, that's really smart,
So we were talking about the church scene. So again, they're doing basically a beta test of this brainwave technology, and they're going to focus it on this church. And so this church is doubling, as the plot synopsis says, as a hate group, and they they turn the brainwave machine on, and everybody in the church is starts freaking out and killing each other, and it's all set to Freebird by Leonard Skinner.
And it was just brilliant.
It's bat poop insane. It's so good.
I like action movies, and I'll be honest with you, as crazy as it sounds, as sociopathic as it makes me sound, the more violent the better. This got to a point where I went, okay, enough, stop.
Right. He's already dead.
He's already dead. You just see like Stan Marsh beating the dead horse with the stick, after a minute. But
that segment goes on for a good 5 minutes.
Oh, it's almost like with the exceptions of a few breaks in the camera work, it's almost like a long shot.
Yeah, it seemed like it was one take.
Yeah, but of course it wasn't a lot. But man, he just goes off. The Kingsmen have an old Soviet style pistol. I think it was I'm not sure I don't know the name of the pistol right off, but they use it and they have the little shotgun barrel underneath it, everything. And he just goes insane with that, and then starts picking up other people because everybody in this church is packing something, a pistol, a knife, a sword. Oh, not a sword, but
yeah.
And then when he runs out of ammo on that, he just picks up a giant, like, I guess it was a Bible. It was like a hardback Bible, and just starts wearing people out with that. And then stabs him with a flagpole, grabs one of the incense things, which why would they use that? But they have it, and he just starts like kung fu fighting with that. And it goes on and on and on. And these people are fighting in the background too. It's just screaming and crying and gnashing of teeth in the background.
I said before, this movie was made for people who just want to see a violent, entertaining movie.
Yes,
and here's the thing: we're really focusing on that one scene. There's a couple like that. There's a scene where Colin Firth beats up the heavies in the bar, and that's a fun scene, especially the callback they'll do in the next one to it.
Yeah,
where he's off his game, but like he takes them out with the umbrella in the mug of beer and all of that.
Well, they start calling him homophobic slurs, and tell him to go find a young man somewhere else, and leave Eggsy to them. So he just walks up, thin guy, tall. Men need to start dressing like that again. Obviously, I cannot right now because I have the body of an eggplant. But soon that will take.
What did they say in the movie? Manners make the man.
Manners maketh man, and he locks the doors. Manners maketh man.
Yep.
And then turns around
with all things dignity and with all things dignity, and we'll go with respect for now.
Yeah. And then as he's turning around, takes his umbrella and uses the hook to sling a beer mug, and catches Eggsy's stepdad in the face with it, and just tears these guys up.
Right. But here's the thing, and this is what I want to talk about before we move on to the next movie. The middle section of this movie. So the beginning is that. The end is the is the church fight scene, and then the final fight scene where he invades the base, which is pretty cool stuff.
Where Eggsy ends up going off on people.
Yeah, but that whole middle section is just the training.
Yeah,
and I was a little. It's not the most interesting of stuff. Like this movie is bookended by some really fun things in the first act and the third act, but the middle act where he's just training, and it's he's there for all of 2 minutes. And he's getting crap by the rich kids that are entitled. And every test, he somehow is able to like ace all of these different tests. And, you guys forgot about the very first one where they're flooding the bunks, and they are led to believe that they left one of their teammates behind and she drowned. Stuff like that. It was and it was like, and then later on, like, oh, we wouldn't really kill anyone. It was all a ruse. It was like, okay. I mean, and I think some of that's in the comic too.
I like that. Yeah. I mean, I get it, but I really liked it because it was different to me.
Yeah.
Because when you watch some of these spy movies, they never really kill anybody in the training. You know that they're going to be okay because it's training. You know what I mean? And so it piqued my interest mainly because it was just different, and it gave a sense of urgency to what was going on. Sure. It wasn't just a training; it was actually, they thought their lives. And as an audience member, I thought, man, these guys are rough, So it was like one of those things where like I enjoyed it because it had something, something different to get.
Right. I wish there had been more investigation of what Samuel Jackson's people were doing, because I feel like for the longest part of this movie, Samuel Jackson's doing something, Taron Egerton's doing something else, and they're not really connected. I know some movies are structured that way. It annoys me. I wish there's more of a pursuit about what he's doing, and less Luke Skywalker running around on Dagobah, which is, again, a large portion of the middle part of that movie. It's just like, all right, we get it. There's some cool stunts in that scene. Don't get me wrong. Like, them jumping out of the airplane
in the Halo suit. Oh my gosh, so cool.
that whole scene. I mean, as much as I didn't like a lot about Black Widow, that seems to be another style stunt trend in Hollywood right now, is falling from atmosphere
and landing in the superhero pose.
Right. I like the way that one looked, though, where they're told one of you doesn't have a parachute, and so the whole point is for someone to take a leadership role and figure out how they're going to do this without anyone dying. And as it turns out, they all had a parachute.
And it turns out Eggsy was the one that said, that even though he didn't have, quote unquote, didn't have a parachute, he's the one that took control and said, "Hey, we're going to get through this." And he grabs a hold of Roxy, his friend, the only friend he has there. And she, and pulls her parachute, and they land in the K, and they make it.
Did Colin Firth explain the newspaper headlines that he has on his wall?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. The newspaper headlines were they were the headlines of the day of a tabloid.
Right.
So it has all of these tabloid headlines on the wall, and, like this happened, right, and this happened. But he knows the date. That was the headline of the day that he saved the prime minister.
Yes. That's what I was asking. I couldn't remember if they went into, because I know that's in the comic book, and I couldn't remember if he explained it in the movie. All right. So, overall, just to bring this to a close, because I don't think there's really not a whole lot else to talk about here.
It's just really fun. And if you like nonsense, I say nonsense, but if you like nonsense, like action, this is honestly for you, because there's a lot of action in it. Even, like the middle part, even though they're training, there's still some action going on in it. And, you got to find your foil. You got to find that guy, that douchebag that's going to, try to make your training even harder. And they did that with that, which as a callback, he's a callback later on in the movie, in the second movie, which was pretty freaking cool. Well, he was kind of a callback in the first, but anyway, I mean, like I said, it's just hardcore, violent nonsense and fun.
Yep. I'll tell you, the writing in this movie is pretty okay. But you know what would have made it better, Ronnie?
I'm gonna guess. I'll just let you tell me.
Okay.
Because you're better at it.
What would have made the writing at least a little bit better would have been Grammarly for you listeners.
That's right.
Of the Long Road to Ruin podcast on Radulich and Broadcasting Network, brought to you by W2M. Grammarly is offering a free download of the Grammarly software. Grammarly's AI-powered products help people communicate more effectively. Grammarly helps you write mistake-free on Gmail, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and nearly anywhere else you write on the web. Grammarly corrects hundreds of grammar, punctuation, spelling mistakes while also catching contextual errors, improving your vocabulary, and suggesting style improvements. To download Grammarly today, go to getgrammarly.com/W2M-network. Again, it's getgrammarly.com/W2M-network to download Grammarly for free. All right. So, Kingsman Secret Service on a budget of a little less than $100 million was a big hit. Made $414 million for, at the time, what was 20th Century Fox, now owned by Disney, soon to be owned by Pornhub. That joke never stops being funny to me.
I don't get it, but yeah, we'll go with that.
It's a joke from Family Guy.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
All right, so then in 2017, I believe, there was a sequel called Kingsman: The Golden Circle. And this was again directed by Matthew Vaughn, which, by the way, do you know what else Matthew Vaughn did? What he's known for?
Some of the X-Men movies, didn't he?
He did.
He turned down the X-Men movie to do the first one.
So he's best known for Kick-Ass, which we need to do one of those
That's
days.
right. Absolutely. It's a great that's a great two movies, actually. One of my least favorite actors in the second one, because I think he's a hypocrite, but that's just me, Jim Carrey. But Jim Carrey does a phenomenal job in that movie. I love those movies.
So Matthew Vaughn, he directed Layer Cake in 2004, which won a whole bunch of awards.
Was that was him?
Yep. That's got Daniel Craig in it.
Yeah, it does, because I own that movie, actually.
And then he directed Stardust, and then he directed Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
Which is also based on a comic book. Which
much darker than the movie.
Yeah, much. And then he directed X-Men First Class. He did the story for Days of Future Past, and then he directed. Then he went into the Kingsman movies, and then there's a new one coming up, The Kingsman. He directed that as well, and then there's a movie Argyle that he's working on that he's also directing, and then he's produced a whole bunch of ones.
He actually turned down directing Days of Future Past to direct Kingsman.
Okay,
so I mean, he did the story, but he didn't direct it because he wanted to direct this.
And you can see like those earlier movies, the X-Men movies, you can see his influence bleeding into these Kingsman movies, but those are not nearly as stylized. Like he seems to be much more restrained, even with Kick-Ass, from what I remember. I had to go back and watch it again, but it feels like these Kingsman movies, he's unrestrained.
You're talking about violent wise, or just how he makes the whole thing?
The stylization seems much more subdued in the X-Men movies and in Kingsman.
I'll agree with the X-Men
movies and in Kick-Ass.
I'll agree with the X-Men movies, but Kick-Ass it's pretty out there sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
so I think he was feeling his oats right there. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing what he can do and can't do, test some boundaries, and then just went ahead and did it when they finally trusted him to. Right. But they did some stuff, some violent stuff in both Kick-Ass movies. I mean,
I bring that up because boy is he unrestrained. This is just all Matthew Vaughn here in the Golden Circle. Like he got a success in Kingsman, and they were like, "Here's a blank check to do whatever."
Let me tell you what. Oh, you just go on with the plot. This is phenomenal.
Yeah, this is, first of all, Julianne Moore, you have my heart. You are a phenomenal actress.
Yes, she is.
All right. A year after defeating Richmond Valentine, Gary Eggsy Unwin has officially joined Kingsman, having taken his late mentor Harry Hart's position of Galahad, as well as Harry's old house, and is dating Tilly, Crown Princess of Sweden. I like Sweden. No, I like meatballs. IKEA, damn it, I've ruined my own joke. Take two. He is dating Tildy, Crown Princess of Sweden. IKEA's from Sweden. I like meatballs. Who he saved from Valentine. On his way home, Ronnie, we've been doing this like 10 years. There's just a lot of running gags.
Yeah.
I know. Okay. On his
but
way
I do
home,
like Swedish meatballs, but anyway.
Dude, there were times when my wife would drag me to IKEA just for the meatballs.
Just for the meatballs?
Ridiculous. On his way home from the tailor shop, he is ambushed by Charlie Hesketh from the previous movie, a rejected Kingsman applicant who lost his right arm and vocal cords. During the Valentine incident, Eggsy evades Charlie and his henchmen in a car chase across London, but Charlie's cybernetic arm, severed in the skirmish, hacks into the Kingsman servers through the computer in Eggsy's car. With the information thereby gained, Poppy Adams, the leader of the world's largest drug cartel, the Golden Circle, launches missiles that destroy Kingsman headquarters and kill all the agents in Britain, including Eggsy's best friend Roxy and his other friend Brandon, who was at Eggsy's house to look after his dog while Eggsy was away in Sweden with Tilda. Eggsy and his colleague Merlin are the only two survivors of the attack. Bold move to wipe out the entire first cast.
Yeah, incredible. And I was really sad about Roxy.
Yeah, I was like, oh, but does she have another movie to go to? What's going on here?
I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen her in anything else, to be honest.
By following an emergency doomsday protocol, the two made contact with Statesman, the American counterpart of Kingsman, which uses a Kentucky-based bourbon whiskey business as a front. There, they discover that Harry survived his shooting by Valentine thanks to Statesman technology, but has amnesia that can be cured only by reliving a traumatic event or be written into a screenplay. Statesman, the head Champagne, offers the organization support to bring down the Golden Circle. Statesman agent Tequila, Mas Tequila, develops a blue rash and shows signs of mania, ultimately being replaced by another agent Whiskey as Eggsy's partner. Agent
Tequila, played by Channing Tatum, and then Agent Whiskey being played by none other than Mandalorian himself.
That's right.
Pedro Pascal.
Yep. Anyway, he looked familiar. It's hard to tell that his helmet on.
Yeah. He actually is a really, really good actor.
Yes.
Can we touch on something in the first movie, though? Real quick.
Yeah.
So whether they were guilty or innocent or whatever is these people that were chosen, that donated so they could get the chip put in there behind their ear and survive the culling of the world.
Yeah.
Which makes them immediately kind of guilty of by association, of murder, of genocide. They reroute the signal somehow through computer fanciness that is written in as a MacGuffin.
Computer fanciness.
I don't know. Hacking seems like such an outdated term anymore. But
so we're gonna go. We need to make computer fanciness a thing.
I think we should.
What are you? I am a master of computer
fanciness. They end up exploding everyone's heads,
right,
in that facility, except for Gazelle and Valentine.
Right.
Gazelle being his bodyguard. And not only did they blow everything, they blew up their heads, but I think they did this to get around getting an NC-17 rating.
Mm-hmm.
That was all colorful and glitter.
Yeah,
when they blew up their heads.
Yeah, it's all like a fireworks display.
Yeah. Well, they were playing the 1812 Overture or whatever it was, right? So anyway, we forgot to touch on that, and I just wanted to do that and wanted to talk about that real quick, because that was, to me, was hilarious. And then I realized they murdered a bunch of people. Some of them didn't do anything, and they murdered them. But anyway, and that's where Charlie lost his arm. Because I don't think he had a chip, but he lost his arm in that whole thing and lost his vocal cords.
Yes,
he shows up with the box in his throat and the cybernetic arm. But yeah, and then they found the Statesman, which is Jeff Bridges and his glory, and Channing Tatum and Pedro Pascal and Halle Berry.
Eggsy plans the tracking device of Charlie's ex-girlfriend, Clara Van Gluckberg, during a sexual encounter at the Glastonbury Festival, which is hilarious, by the way, but is estranged from Tilda after telling her beforehand what he has to do. Merlin attempts to cure Harry's amnesia by flooding his bedroom, mirroring an element of the Kingsman agent training, but the exercise fails. Eggsy eventually succeeds by threatening to shoot a cane terrier puppy that resembles Harry's late dog, Mr. Pickle, causing Harry to relive the final test of his Kingsman training, which he was ordered to shoot his dog. During their next mission, Poppy broadcasts a message announcing she has added a toxin to all her drugs, which causes users to develop symptoms like tequilas before succumbing to paralysis and subsequent death. She offers the antidote to the world if the president will end the war on drugs and grant her cartel immunity from prosecution. The president publicly negotiates, but secretly intends to let the infected die as he is willing to eliminate all drug users and thus render Poppy's business useless. I have things to say about this.
I bet you do.
He quarantines many victims, including his chief of staff, in a stadium and leaves them there to die. Harry, Eggsy, and Whiskey track Clara to a Golden Circle facility in the Italian Alps. Eggsy manages to steal a sample of the antidote, but Whiskey destroys it during an attack by the Golden Circle's henchmen, leading Harry to suspect him of being a traitor and breaking the sample on purpose. Harry shoots Whiskey in the head, but Eggsy, believing Harry to be delusional due to an incomplete recovery, saves him with the same technology that Statesman used to save Harry. Charlie kills Clara by destroying the facility to prevent any more samples from being taken, and leave no traces behind. Tilda calls Eggsy in a manic state, showing she has symptoms as a result of smoking cannabis and a fit of depression, like you do. Eggsy, Harry, and Merlin discover the location of Poppy's hideout in Cambodia, Poppyland.
Which is actually a pretty cool little place.
Yeah, she was like, I love 50s nostalgia, because who doesn't? And
she had a hamburger joint where she would grind up failed henchmen and make hamburgers out of them.
Yep.
Which was really a thing that happened. She had her own salon, a bowling alley,
and robots
and robot dogs.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I'm with her on that one. Robots are better than people.
So, yeah. Sometimes, yes, my friend.
While recoining Poppyland, Eggsy steps on a landmine, but Merlin sacrificed himself to save him. And Harry, while taking out a squad of Poppy's guards and singing his favorite John Denver song at the same time.
Oh my gosh!
I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of out on the movie by this point, so I saw it all happen, but I was like, whatever.
What? No, it was great. Like, I hate that song, but that was such a cool use of it.
Oh, I love that song. But Eggsy and Harry storm the lair as they kill the guards they meet. Eggsy fights and kills Charlie as revenge for his fallen comrades, while Harry destroys Poppy's robotic attack dogs called Benny and the Jets.
Oh, the whole time we forgot to mention she's got Elton John captured on this island.
Oh, Elton John! Sorry, Elton John throwing like a drop kick.
Okay. So Elton John is hostage or being held hostage on this island. Not even hostage, prisoner. She doesn't want anything for him. She just wants him there to sing to her all the time and throw a concert.
Right.
So he's not
happy about it, as you might expect.
He's not happy. And I've never heard it. I know Elton John probably drops some language every once in a while. Did not know Elton John had that big of a potty mouth. But there was some significant F-bombs coming from old Elton.
He's hysterical in this. He's really funny.
He's so funny in this. He's actually he's a good actor for what it was.
Yeah.
But he grabs one of his guards, slams him into the piano, and starts wailing on him with the piano lid, right? Knocks him out. And the other two flank him on either side. And he starts growling at one of them, runs, and I'm like, that's not him running. That can't be him running in high heels. He's got these big chunky high heels on. Jumps up and throws what is the most perfect martial arts side jumping kick that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And immediately lands and does this spinning capoeira like heel kick to the other guy's head and knocks them both out, and then just skips away.
Don't mess with Elton John, man.
Don't mess with Elton John, because secretly he is a ninja.
They secure the laptop controlling the drones that can deliver the antidote worldwide, then inject Poppy with a concentrated dose of her toxin with heroin to dull her senses and let her guard down. A delirious Poppy gives them the laptop password for the antidote, but dies from an accidental overdose. Whiskey interrupts them before they can deploy the drones, revealing that his wife, pregnant with their son, was killed in a robbery committed by 2 meth users years ago, which caused him to develop a personal vendetta against all drug users, wanting them to die. A furious fight breaks out, ending with Harry and Eggsy dropping Whiskey into Poppy's meat grinder. Then they activate the drones, delivering the antidote worldwide. In the aftermath, the president is impeached, because of course he is,
and arrested
for conspiring to let the victims die. And Statesman purchases a distillery in Scotland to help rebuild Kingsman. Statesman tech supporter specialist Ginger Ale, which is Halle Berry, is appointed the new Agent Whiskey. Eggsy marries Tilda and a Cure Tequila joins Kingsman, which acquires a new tailor shop in London. Okay, let's just get right into the most important thing here. The other one, yeah, it had a point of view, but ultimately, there's got to be a better way to deal with global warming than killing half the population. The Avengers came to the same conclusion, so did Kingsman. So does everybody else. It's like, what are we doing if we have to give up our morals and humanity by committing genocide for the greater good? Is it really the greater good is the whole point there?
You could say there was a moral gray point to that area.
Here, their point of view is we should legalize drugs, that the war on drugs is bad. And if this was any more heavy-handed, here's the thing. Like, I don't want to get into my own personal stuff here, but there is a conversation to be had about harm reduction, decriminalization, and I'm willing to have that conversation. I'm not entirely sure Kingsman, the Golden Circle, is the appropriate place to contemplate harm reduction and decriminalization, especially when you assign it to the bad guy, and then there's an even badder guy president going, "Yeah, let all the drug users die," and you're supposed to come out of Kingsman like, "Oh, I don't agree with that at all." Matthew Vaughn, the people who wrote this story, are trying to get people to come out of Kingsman, the Golden Circle, with the idea that they should confront their politicians about creating more harm reduction and decriminalization policies. Like, nobody's going to come to that conclusion.
Right. I get it.
Sorry. This is not, nobody went to this to be preached about, the drug policies in this country, arcane as they are.
I just want to see Pedro Pascal use a lasso to cut people in half.
Yeah, really. I'm with you there. and that's kind of my point. Like, you can have Julianne Moore, who is fantastic in this. She really is just wonderful.
She is.
You can have her being like, I want to sell all the drugs to all the people. Let me do that, or I'm going to kill everybody. Okay, fine.
Which was pretty much what she was.
Right. Going that extra step where this is a way to put their beliefs out there about how the drug war is bad, drug policy is bad. I'm like, not to be you, but get your politics out of my Kingsman movie.
Right? No. You can totally infringe on my gimmick there. Get it off my front porch. I don't want it. I get it.
I felt it was inappropriate for this kind of movie. This movie is so over the top silly. A couple
Elton
of months
John
ago,
kicked a man in the face.
Well, a couple of months ago, we talked about Candyman and how Candyman has all these great metaphors and all these, in this political agenda. And I made a point of saying to Sean, like, I didn't realize how much of a political point of view are in these horror movies. Like, these horror movies have something to say. They're just saying them in the horror genre of all places, because that's where the people are. You got to go your audience.
You got to go where the people are.
And I get all of that. And so I kind of had a new respect for the horror genre for that reason. But I think there is a line of distinction between where you can get away with that and where your message is going to be utterly muddled and lost.
Absolutely.
And this is the case of the latter.
Yeah, this is definitely muddling.
Right. And it's like, I agree with the point of view. I think this was just not the place to put it.
Yeah. You haven't said anything that I wouldn't
focus on the podcast.
Do what?
Stop playing World of Warcraft.
I'm not playing World of Warcraft. I'm actually looking at something online.
Okay. Are you arguing with Pat about Spider-Man?
No. Screw that. That's a losing battle.
Yeah. Can I just, anyone listening to this podcast who works on these podcasts with me, stop taking Pat's bait.
First of all, I don't play World of Warcraft.
Oh, that's what you took away from my little rant there?
Yes. I'm not playing World of Warcraft. I was actually looking at mainly because I just watched Golden Circle today again to catch up on it. And I rented these movies to watch them again for you. But I was looking at some. So I've got my computer monitor over here, and I was looking at some trivia that they have on IMDb. So, but nothing's really relevant to what we want to talk about. But it's just one of those things where, like, this was so much fun to watch Elton John and Colin Firth beat a robot dog to death with bowling balls.
here's what I'll say. I love Julianne Moore in this. The final assault on Poppy Land is fantastic.
Oh, God.
And this is what I mean, this is what I mean by they just gave Matthew Vaughn a blank check to do whatever he wanted, and he like super indulged in all of his tendencies, but it works here. And that's what I mean. Like, it works so well that whatever other point they're trying to make is completely lost.
Absolutely, because why would I care about what you have to say about the war on drugs when I just saw a man mow down 24 other guys with a machine gun briefcase?
Yeah, Colin Firth, using the
umbrella
as a shield.
Yeah, as a shield.
That's what
and then Eggsy using a machine gun briefcase
which is also doubles as a rocket launcher in case.
Oh yeah, you flip it up the other way and it shoots a rocket
right
into the tube of an RPG that the other guy was using, which was incredible accuracy.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's so much fun, and like I'm not totally into like big stupid fun. No. But I wanted to see what these movies were, and once I got a clear picture of what it was, like the Golden Circle doubles down on big stupid fun. I have to say, what's the actor's name again? Channing Tatum. Channing Tatum is hilarious in this, and I feel like Channing Tatum is one of those guys where he's a hot looking man, he's got a nice body on him. His body of work is. His body of work is questionable, and I think a lot of people. I mean, like, I'm just looking briefly. He's done a lot of different things. He's in this. He's in the Lego Movie. He's in Hail Caesar, The Hateful Eight, Magic Mike, Jupiter Ascending.
He was brilliant in The Hateful Eight.
Yes, 22 Jump Street, White House Down, G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Shut up.
Yeah, so like his stuff is all over the place. And so I think he gets a bad rap because of it.
He's a very unappreciated, underappreciated actor.
I think because he's been in movies that were not great, he gets this reputation of being a not great actor. But Channing Tatum is really, really good, and he's super funny in this.
He's so funny in this. He's really good. And just like I said, if you want to see how good of an actor he is, watch him in Hateful Eight. I think he's brilliant in that. I mean, because he's supposed to be this, he is this sex symbol, this, dancing hunk of whatever, slab of beef. But in Hateful Eight, he is just evil in that.
Yeah,
and in this, he's so much fun. He's so funny. Proved that he can do the action bit, of course. With the fight scene with Colin Firth and Eggsy, and then Pedro Pascal did his part as well as that. But he's really good. I think he's underappreciated as an actor.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Yeah. So this one also amps up the action. This is it's very much like second superhero movie structure. The second one is always the one where everything goes to hell. Yeah. Or the superhero loses his superpower and they have to rebuild. The only one, I was thinking it kind of reminded me a lot of Iron Man 3. Where Iron Man Tony is dealing with his PTSD and he doesn't have his suits and he has to like go to Home Depot to put something together so that he can raid the compound and and it's like a glove with a little laser on it and all this other stuff.
It's really, I like that.
Yeah, no, I love, like, a lot of people hate Iron Man 3 because of the Mandarin thing, and I think those people need to get lives.
Yeah.
I love Iron Man 3, and part of it is because of that stripped down, like, getting down to brass tacks bit that he does.
Very much a spy movie as well.
Yeah. And so here, they wipe out the Kingsman in the first act, and then it's Taron Egerton just trying to, like, it's Taron Egerton and Mark Strong trying to figure out what to do next, and they honestly don't know, and they sort of stumble into the Statesman thing, and then they get there, and it's like, okay, well, now that we're here, we got to get ourselves integrated with Statesman, and then we have to go out and find Poppy, and work on the case. And so This one was a little bit more straightforward than the Secret Service was. So
training's over at this point.
Yeah,
he's a full-fledged agent,
right? And I kind of preferred it for that reason. I like the fact that they were on this. This one focuses more on the mission.
Yeah,
there's more detective work. There's more dealing with the mission.
Computer fanciness.
There's more computer fanciness. So overall, I said I was kind of out on the movie towards the end. It's a little long. I think this thing clocks in 2.5 hours. This thing did not need 2.5 hours.
Cut a half hour off that, and you're good.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's just a little overindulgent and a little overly long.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think between these two movies, I can see why Robert Winfrey did not want to talk about them, and I can see why he does not want to see The King's Man, because the stylization of the fighting would be offensive to him. And if you're that kind of person, I would not recommend these movies. These are definitely for people who just appreciate a nice stylized action movie, and that's it. Are you having an aneurysm?
A little bit. I'm good now.
Okay. What, is there an issue with what I just said?
No.
Okay.
I just unwind and enjoy things.
Not everybody can. Not everybody can.
I know, but I can.
For every Kingsman, there's some guy out there who likes The Raid and Train to Busan.
I like those too.
And you're allowed to. And some people only like those. All right. Anything else about Kingsman: The Golden Circle?
No, you hit everything on the head on this one. It's just, it's loud, it's in your face, it's violent, and it's fun.
Mm-hmm. I like his relationship with Tilda, by the way. They gave them a little bit more than butt sex to do, which I'd have been just satisfied with just the butt sex. But they gave him an actual relationship. I actually this is just a real quick. We lost Ronnie.
I'm done. Just gonna put my head on my desk and go to sleep for a minute.
Just the one last thing, and then we can get out of here. Is I like that he's so devoted to her, and and then he has to. It's implied that he's got to stick his finger up this girl's. Got you all.
Yeah, he's got to,
and he doesn't want to do it because he's committed to Tilda, and I like that. I like the fact that he's like, I won't do this. I won't try to save the world by putting, by putting my hand up this girl's. Got you all in check. And if it'll upset you, and she's like, what a position to put me in. I wish you hadn't told me.
Right.
Just do what you need to do and save the world, and keep the gory details to yourself, which is a very girl thing to say.
At which point do you, if you're that, you should be that honest and that committed. Do you just grab, you say, okay, listen, things are about to get weird, and grab the girl and just stick your finger up her nose? Because all you need is a mucous membrane to get into the bloodstream, is what he said.
I mean, look, I'm just going to say a little finger in the butt between friends is never a bad thing. I mean, I don't, little finger.
I'm glad you and I live states away from each other right now.
That's how I greet people, Ronnie. Hello.
Hello. Hey.
Oh, Bob's your uncle. All right.
Is that your knuckle?
This is how we greet each other in the South. Oh my. All right.
But what part of the South did you go to?
So, hey, you're running a D&D campaign this weekend?
I am actually. This usually is our weekend off, but since the next weekend we would play would be the 25th.
I don't care. Here's what I really want to know. What music are you going to play?
Oh, well, beforehand I listened to a lot of Manowar, that epic rock kind of stuff.
Yeah, battle metal. So if you want to listen to more battle metal for your D&D campaign that you're going to stream on Twitch, did you know that that we were giving away a free 30-day trial of the Amazon Music Unlimited service?
I heard that.
That is loaded up with Manowar and all kinds of epic battle metal.
It's amazing.
Get amazonmusic.com/W2M network for your free 30-day trial of the Amazon Music Unlimited service. You can use it for up to a month. If you like it, you keep it. You pay the monthly fee. You don't, you cancel it. No fuss, no muss. We use it all the time on the Metal Hammer of Doom. We used it, as a matter of fact, last night when we had a very poppy Christmas party.
Pardon?
We had a very Poppy Christmas party.
Cool. I'm down.
Yeah. Poppy's a real person, by the way. With the church and everything, or at least she used to have a church. All right, Ronnie, that's it. That's our Kingsman review, such as it was. Like I said, this Wednesday, Kingsman The Kingsman comes out along with The Matrix and Sing 2. Ronnie and I will be back a week from Monday, the 27th.
Mm-hmm.
Just me and him to do a Damn You Hollywood for The Kingsman. Just you and me, Ronnie, again, together again.
I love it.
Yes, sir. In the meantime, we had this week led into Spider-Man No Way Home, which we have both seen. Myself, Gavin Napier, and Robert Winfrey will be talking about that Tuesday night. But we loaded up this week with all kinds of Spider-Man stuff. Our 2014 review of The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Sean, Benjamin, and I had a long road to ruin comparing all three of the franchises. Jesse had a 4-part Spider-Verse comic review with him and Benjamin J. Cologne. Mm-hmm. We also reviewed West Side Story. We did our Mania of WrestleMania 11, 12, and 13.
By the way, we switched from Spider-Man to this now. West Side Story is not set in the Spider-Verse.
Yes. We reviewed Stargirl, the aforementioned Poppy Show. After this goes up today, hey, Ronnie, your Screaming Boy, Why Spider-Man is Awesome, is getting re-aired.
Yay!
Speaking of re-airs, myself, for 5 minutes, Jeff Harris, and Sean Comer, I actually edited this show. This is one of our very early shows. We had all kinds of Blog Talk Radio problems, and at one point, Jeff was calling in from the Matrix. I cut all that stuff out. I cut it all out. I got a 2.5 hour show under 2 hours, and it's just us talking about the Spider-Man movie. It's, cool. After edit, it's pretty good. Myself and Robert Winfrey will be covering the Better Biev fight tomorrow night, and then Saturday we have a re-airing of our Secret Life of Pets review. Plus, myself and Dan Lasby will be doing alternative commentary for Jake Paul versus Tyrone Woodley, and then, in theory, as soon as I get done watching Nightmare Alley Sunday night, myself and Harry Broadhurst will be reviewing Ring of Honor Final Battle and Beyond Wrestling Fet Forever. Plus, Jesse and I reviewing Kingsman, The Secret Circle, the comic. And then one last thing. Ronnie, why do I have you down for Nightmare Alley? Are you on that one?
You asked me to be on that one, but sure.
No, well, that's Robert and Alexis invited herself. So you.
Oh well, then I'm out.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay. Let's get rid of you.
Get rid of you. Let's get rid of you. Stab you in the face.
Don't know how that happened. Sorry.
It's all right.
And then the aforementioned Spider-Man No Way Home. We've got some Christmas stuff coming up. It'll be myself, Evan Bevins, reviewing Fat Man, The Ref, in Bruges.
Oh, Fat Man is such a good movie.
Yeah, I just watched that today. It's pretty good. It's pretty interesting. We'll have Jesse and I did The Last Christmas comic by Brian Posehn, which is pretty fun. And then we have Christmas trivia that I was on, along with Jason Teasley, his lovely wife, and David Wright. And it only sounds minor contentious. Actually, 5 minutes into the podcast, and they said I was going to behave myself. I was trying to calm down. It was a long, hectic day, and I'm trying to pull myself together. And the first thing Alexis says is, "When am I getting paid for all of this?" At which point, I became the world's biggest dick because I completely lost my patience.
Rightfully so.
I've only asked her not to do that 100 times.
Yeah.
All right, Ronnie, wrap it up for me.
All right, you're looking at me. I'm Ronnie, and I. Sorry. I have a Twitch channel called Misfits and Miscreants. I am back to actually streaming video games now. I've got a nice little Christmas overlay going on and all that. We have a bi-weekly, is that how you say it? Like twice a month live stream D&D game. So we're mostly just a like D&D and gaming channel. So we're playing Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frostmaiden. We got a great group. We're on session 7 this coming Sunday. We decided to play this Sunday, and we're going to air it. We're going to go live this Sunday because the next time we were scheduled to play was December 25th. Well, we ain't doing that because it's Christmas Day. So we got together and we said, hey, let's do this Sunday. The shop where we run out of, she said, that's fine. And said, have fun. So join us Sunday for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got working on some Magic the Gathering content, some board game content, some other games like Dice Throne, things like that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Please stay tuned. First of the new year, we're going to start doing that stuff. And that's about it.
All right, folks. Go remember to check out the Kingsman review and all the other content we've got here. Please like and subscribe our YouTube channel. If you're on Apple Music, give us a rating and a review if you have time. We really appreciate it, and it helps us out for the various things we're trying to do to grow the channel. For Ronnie Adams, I'm Mark Radulich. Be well, be safe, and behave.